Planning. PolyGuard balcony waterproofing system. Waterproofing systems differ by manufacturer. Manufacturer installation guidelines must be followed for a proper installation. In conjunction with the manufacturer's installation guidelines, it is best practice to review the construction sequence with the third-party envelope consultant and your QA/QC manager to ensure there are no conflicting details with the contract documents. After a pre-installation meeting to review the balcony waterproofing TSW, submittals, drawings, and specifications, you will complete the balcony waterproofing inspection in Procore to confirm the substrate is compliant and ready for the installers to take ownership. Step 1. Safety. Before stepping onto the balcony, a safety harness must be put on and inspected. After you put your harness on, make sure to check the date and perform a pull test. Visually inspect the harness and strap, and be sure to attach the strap to an anchor point that can support the required weight limit with the black strip facing out and attach the yo-yo. Step 2. Inspect the balcony. When embeds are installed, primer should show around the outer edge and a pull test should be completed to make sure the membrane has adhered. Check that there is at least 3 inches of membrane exposed on all sides of the railing embeds. Also, the PolyGuard detail sealant PW should be showing through the screws as evidence of its use. At this point, the deck must be cleaned. Remove all debris and sweep the deck. Make sure to hammer in any protruding nails. Tools should be tethered when working near a leading edge. Lift up any Tyvek that covers the work area. The Tyvek will be reinstalled over the waterproofing at a later date. At the leading edge of the balcony, cut a 45-degree angle and raise the Tyvek, being careful not to damage it. Using a level, check the slope of the balcony to verify it matches contract documents. Does it slope the right direction? Is it an ADA balcony with a side entry door? Measure the height of the door frame to verify the threshold height accommodates both the exterior concrete and interior gypcrete. Consider the additional buildup of waterproofing in the doorway and make sure the rough opening size still works. Step 3. Install waterproofing around the perimeter of the balcony. Using the PolyGuard primer, coat all areas where membrane will be adhered. When the primer is thickened up and is kind of sticky to the touch, it's ready for the membrane to be applied. If required on the project, install T-buckets. The first layer of the membrane can now be installed around the base of the balcony. Best practice is to install the top half first and then roll down to the floor. This helps reduce wrinkles and tears. Be sure when wrapping over the door entry, the membrane is cut and not rolled over. The ends of the membrane will cover the 45-degree cut at the Tyvek and be trimmed around the T-buckets. When covering the door, it's important to begin 6 inches up and then roll down the front to be sure it's flat. Step 4. Install the drip edge. Begin by pre-notching the drip edge to fit around the embeds. Next, we set the drip edge with detail sealant. Apply a generous amount of sealant around the perimeter of the deck. When pressing down on the drip edge, sealant must squirt out onto the deck. If you don't see this happening, you need to add more sealant and reapply. We also apply sealant at the drip edge laps. Once the drip edge is in place, install your fasteners. Lastly, brush flat any excess sealant. Step 5. Finish applying waterproofing. This is a good time to make sure the deck is still clean and free of debris. Apply primer over the surface of the balcony. PolyGuard requires membrane sheets to lap a minimum of 3 inches. Like roofing, the first row must begin at the edge to achieve proper shingling. Lay out the membrane with the adhesive cover still intact to make sure it fits correctly. Make sure there is enough to cover the edges of the balcony. Remove the backing at one end and press down to adhere. Continue doing this laterally across the balcony until it reaches the end. Remove the remaining backing and begin unfolding the membrane towards the edge of the balcony. Carefully cut the membrane so it fits around corners and embeds. Make sure to pull membrane away before cutting to avoid cuts to already installed waterproofing. Roll the membrane out over the edge and cut off remainder so it does not stick out below the T-bar. that will be installed above it. Next, install shims around the edge of the balcony. The shims cannot be more than 12 inches apart. Apply additional primer and begin laying out the second sheet of membrane. Be sure to have at least 3 inches of overlap between the two membranes. Remove the backing and apply the membrane. Use a weighted roller to ensure good adhesion. All exposed seams must be covered in detail sealant. The detail sealant is not compatible with Tyvek in its wet form. The two manufacturers have agreed that it is acceptable to not seal the PolyGuard membrane edges on top of the Tyvek material. The two products are compatible after the sealant is cured. So when the Tyvek gets pulled back down over the waterproofing, the system is in compliance. In the door, the sealant only needs to come to the inside where the door threshold will sit. It does not need to go into the interior of the unit. Once applied, the sealant must be tooled down. Completely cover the base of the embeds as well to ensure no leaks can occur. Step 6. Install the T-bar. Place the T-bar and install the fasteners. Be sure the fasteners are only installed over shim locations to prevent deflection in the T-bar. Be sure to cover all fastener heads with sealant and tool them down. If any small tears happen to occur during installation, a patch covering at least 3 inches beyond all sides of the tear can be applied. Be sure there are no air bubbles and the patch is flat. Sealant must also be applied to all sides of the patch. If door sill pans are required, install these now. Apply sealant to the bottom of the sill pans and door threshold. Lastly, seal the top edge of the sill to make sure no water can drip in. The team will perform a 24-hour flood test prior to placing concrete. Thank you to our partners from Kent for demonstrating this process.